So here's a somewhat sort of difficult idea to understand. But this is what I think big medical corporations need to know. Aravind is Alcon's biggest customer. Aravind is also Oralab's biggest customer. Aravind buys 8% of their lenses from Alcon because that's what the customer wants. The customer wants a US-made lens. Aravind spends 65% of their intraocular lens budget on 8% of those products from Alcon, but and then they spend 65% of their they spend 65% to buy 8% and 35% to buy 92% from Oralab. So here you have one institution having premium price products and lower price products serving all economic strata. So what is the implication for other medical device companies? I was helping one large medical device company to look at how to make cardiology products like pacemakers more affordable in India. And I said to them, if Aravind can capture, if Aravind is serving both low income and high income with differentiated pricing from two different companies, why can't you, and you're the biggest medical device company in the world, why can't you have differentiated products, differentiated pricing to reach all economic strata? And so they were afraid of cannibalizing their higher margin sales. But then I said to them, look, somebody's going to come along some new entrant is going to come along and make really affordable pacemakers, and they're going to eventually make better featured products and compete with you not only at the low end but at the high end. So you better get going. And so that scared them even more. And they actually did an experiment in India, which I was sort of the architect of, that proved that they could reach the lower economic strata in a way that was meaningful and where it actually increased the volume of people coming for the higher margin sales. And so, nobody in that company believed me because it's totally counterintuitive in the business world to think that if you charge, if you're having differentiated pricing, most of the market's going to go to that lower price. It's not necessarily true. So a lot of what I preach to these big corporations is, if you can reach all economic strata with the right price point, you're going to overall be more profitable. And in this case, not only does it operate in ophthalmology, but now it's operating in cardiology. Okay. So here's Oralab in the beginning and also now with their new building. It's a 120,000 square foot building. And now I want to talk about hearing. 600 million people need a hearing aid, but only 7 million are sold each year, and the average price point is about $2,000, even in poor countries like India, and only 10% go to the developing world. Even in a mature market like the US, there's only 23% market penetration because health insurance doesn't cover hearing aids, and so most people don't buy them because they're so expensive. And so we created a company. I work with someone with extreme technical competence. I work with my co-founder, Stavros Baseas. He's the former chief technologist at GM Resound, which is a big hearing company. And he knew what their margins were, and he kind of got tired of corporate life and never reaching the market potential through that company. So he and I started working together a few years ago, and we formed a company called Conversion Sound. And we worked to, we wanted to figure out a wholly different ecosystem for delivery of hearing devices. And so what we did is, if you think about hearing aids, they cost about $2,000. you go to an audiologist or an ear doctor, they have about $35,000 worth of equipment that they need to test your hearing and then to make the custom mold and all that. And so we went to the drawing board and we looked at, okay, what are off-the-shelf components that we can use to fashion a very high-end digital hearing aid? So right from the beginning, we were novel and disruptive in our components. So like our chip, for instance, is not a hearing aid chip. It's from the Bluetooth headset industry. So instead of costing $50, that chip, which has more processing power than any hearing aid chip, only costs $5. And then we put together all these components and we created a Bluetooth-enabled hearing device where you can download an application to your smartphone and wirelessly test your hearing and program the device so that you don't need an audiologist, you don't need an audiometer, a computer, you don't have to, we created a way to make a customized mold. So people with moderate to severe loss need a customized mold. So instead of taking an impression and sending it off and getting the mold back in 2 weeks, we created a silicone balloon that goes in the ear that you inflate with liquid silicone to make the mold on the spot. So we did all these technology things to figure out how we were going to circumvent the dysfunctional supply chain that wasn't reaching the market potential. That's what we did. And so the product is now just about to go on the market, and you can, it works on a smartphone, and we're looking at how to position this product in the developed world where it's addressing mild loss, where you don't need a customized mold. You can use a universal mold and just buy it off the shelf and program it, test your hearing and program it yourself. So there's a consumer empowerment to take care of your own hearing. And then we're looking at a developing country model where we work through other pre-existing social entrepreneurs or cell phone service providers or pharmacies where we distribute it through those non-conventional channels. So we created technology to enable us to go to those non-conventional channels. Here's a chart that kind of tells the difference. Our retail price will be between $50 and $200 depending upon the country versus $1,500 to $3,000. We have a rechargeable battery, so it only costs a little bit of money. You only need a smartphone to fit it. You don't need $35,000 worth of equipment. And it only takes, well, it literally takes only 5 minutes to do the test. So you don't need an audiometer, you don't need a sound room, you don't need a computer. So everything about it was just made very simple and disruptive for what's already out there. So then I set up another technology company called Quantum Catch. And this one is sort of, a lot of the products are really for telemedicine. And our first product is it's a camera that takes photos of the retina that's completely automated. And it's also an autorefractor to get the prescription for your glasses. And you can also, there's also a mechanism built in that can detect and measure cataract. And so a fundus camera by itself would cost $22,000. An autorefractor would cost $8,000. A device that objectively detects cataract doesn't even exist on the market. But all of these functionalities are in this one machine, which we plan to sell for $5,000. So again, it's like how do you design and manufacture and distribute to look at where you're going to cut out cost and margins the whole way. And we're very much on target for that price point. It'll be on the market before the end of the year. We also looked at the whole field of diabetes monitoring. Most diabetics have to prick their finger and get blood on a strip and then put it in a glucose monitor. And those strips are, I think the blood strip market is a $12 billion a year market. In the US, the average price for one of those blood strips is 83 cents, and people generally have to test at least 4 times a day. And of course, those strips cost only a fraction of a penny. And so we created a different technology, which we've already proven works, and we're about to start a human clinical trial to prove it. It's a monocular that you hold up to your eye, and it shines two different kinds of light that reflect off the glucose in the water of the eye, the aqueous humor, back to the instrument, and that measures the body's glucose. So again, it's a very novel technology that completely, instead of trying to figure out how to make and control the price of a strip, we just went completely around the whole way of how diabetics test for their glucose and created a new technology. We have another device that actually, this is our first product. It's actually a joint venture with a Japanese company called Conan. And we developed a way where you can measure pupil movement in order to detect glaucoma, which is a disease of the eye. The water pressure of the eye builds up and it damages the optic nerve. And we developed an instrument where it measures the response of the pupil of the eye against different light stimuli, and that's correlated with you can detect glaucoma just by looking at the movement of the pupil. I won't explain the technical details, but it works. It's been through several clinical trials at well-known universities, and we're very happy in our collaboration with Conan, this Japanese company. This same instrument, when you add in eye movement, it will also enable us to detect brain concussion and other neurological disorders. And so we're about to start a clinical trial with that machine. And as you know, in the United States and other countries, brain concussion from sports injuries is a really big issue now. And so this machine will cost, it'll be very inexpensive, and you can have it on the sidelines of any sporting event to be able to detect concussion right when it happens. And you'll also be able to monitor concussion to determine when somebody can go back into play. Here's a picture of some images from our camera. The quantum catch image on the left, I think, compares favorably with the Topcon image, which is a Japanese camera. And of course, ours will be $5,000, but the Topcon is $35,000. So don't tell Topcon what we're up to. Okay.